let's get going. Welcome to week 9, day 1. Let's see, I made a couple changes. I made that box a little bit smaller because the shards were get scaled based on the size of the scaling of the like if you distort this out like really far, then when you shatter it, it forms these really distorted shards as well. So I just kind of put it back there, and you'll see that the goblins come down and they'll knock it over and shatter it. Kind of looks nice. Oh, some other a little minor thing. If you want something simple that just triggers every like 2 seconds or something like that, you can do this. You can attach event tick to delay 2 seconds, and then this thing will trigger once every 2 seconds. So usually I'll have like a delay, like the thing that is doing is getting the time and setting the time and things like that, because you can use that information, like when was the last time I fired. You know, it's actually useful information. But for something like this, where you just want, like I'm just going to print out a number every 2 seconds, or I'll just make it every 1 second. Why not? And so I've got a variable here called tick count that is set to 0. And every 1 second, it's going to print the current value tick count, and then it's going to increment tick count by 1. So if I run this, you'll see it prints out 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Okay, another thing I want to do real fast is just do a physics volume here. We've got the underwater effect going on, but we're not swimming. So one thing we can do is use what's called a physics volume. Physics volume here, drag it out, and as always it's a 1 meter cube, which is almost always way too small for what we want to do. So this thing here we are going to scale up to encompass my whole undersea water here. It's like some Little Mermaid song or something, right? Let's see. And there we go. And as long as we don't have any other areas down here, should be good. Okay, so the physics volume by itself does nothing. But what we can do is come over here and change it to a water volume. And now we're going to be swimming. Okay. And so basically that's how you tag areas as being under the sea. Right? So you see how I'm swimming now? I'm like up in the air and I'm slowly drifting down. If for something like this, where you don't really need underwater combat and things like that, the default character movement is kind of very sluggish and awkward. So I'm going to come into the main character here, and if you go over to the character movement, which controls how your things move under the water, you can see the default water movement mode is set to swimming. And I wonder what would happen if we change it to flying. That could be interesting. Let's try that first. Go away, human. Can't jump. Yeah. Let's go back over here. In character movement, underwater, we are going to be swimming. And then down here are the details on swimming. Maximum swim speed is half our running speed, and our buoyancy is set to 1. And if you want to step out of a pool, this is actually a big problem in a lot of games, is that you'll fall into water and you can't get out. Valheim has this problem, where like, if you fall into the ocean and you've got a platform at water level, you can't actually mantle up onto it. You can't jump up onto it. You sit there and bob, and your face is bumping into this thing, and you're a Viking, but you can't actually get up out of the water, and you drown. Because you're a Viking, and Vikings can only swim about 10 feet before they start taking stamina damage, or health damage, rather. Timers work for delays also, yeah. Yeah, that's what I was saying last time. There's always different ways of doing these kinds of things in Unreal Engine. And having timers is one of those core tools in your toolbox. Okay, so being able to get out of water, max step height, we'll bump that up a little bit. Out of water Z, so when you jump up, you're like a dolphin, you fly up a little bit. And maybe we'll boost that twice as high as well. So buoyancy, let's set this to 3. Braking deceleration, max swim speed. I'm going to set that up to like 500. Yeah, let's do that. Okay. So now, when I come over here and jump in, I go down, and then you can see I'm now buoyant. Right? So, kind of cool. Let's see if I can get out now. Over here. And so all we had to do for the physics volume was just, remember, over here we just selected the physics volume and just checked water volume. That's it. So that's really all you have to do to mark an area as water. If you have overlapping areas, then you can give them a priority. So if you have like an area in the middle that has a different amount of fluid friction or something, you can have them override each other. I don't really use that. Alright, so let's set the buoyancy to 10. Let's see how that works out. And you can see the tick counter is still running up there. Let's see. I don't know if it uses numbers other than 0 and 1. Let's try it out. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So you can see how I'm bobbing up and down in the water now. Okay. There you go. So that's how you do water movement. You can play around with that. It's probably a little bit too high. Turn it down to 80 or something. Okay. So that is that. I just want to show that to you real fast. And then over here I've got this box, and I dragged a box in, clicked add blueprint, and then the blueprint I just added this delay thing here to just show you how you can simply have something trigger every 2 seconds or so. Now, there's an important thing we need to talk about with time. And time is always on your side or something. I don't know. Time in a bottle. I don't know. So let's move this out of the way here, and let's talk about delta seconds. So delta seconds is really an important thing. What that is how many seconds have gone by since the last frame. And if you don't use this, then your event tick is probably going to be buggy, unless you do something like this. Like this essentially reduces event tick to be event once every second. You know, it's a kind of hackish way of doing it. Maybe not hackish. I don't know. So I noticed that my bullets weren't getting destroyed, so I made them destroy themselves after 3 seconds. Yes. There is... Where's my ball? Confetti ball. There it is. When you create an object, you can actually have it delete itself after after a certain time, because that's very common in video games. A lot of projectiles and things like that, you don't want them hanging out forever. and shards. Like when a barrel explodes, you don't want those pieces lying around forever. It's cool when they break, but after that they're just kind of annoying. So I'm going to set the lifespan to like 0.1 seconds here. Let's see, that should do it, I think. Yeah, you see, after 0.1 seconds, the thing cleans itself up. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything. It's like dodgeball now all of a sudden. You don't have to do anything more heroic than that. Did you do it with a blueprint, Hazelton, or did you set the lifespan on it? Yeah. There's always different ways you can do these things. So, but that's a very common thing, and a lot of times when there's a very common thing like damage or networking or hide it, you know, or the lifespan, there oftentimes there's a default. There's not always, but yeah. So let's save this one. Okay, so let's talk about delay seconds. So let's say that we want this box to move towards us, right? So we've got this spooky red box here, and we just want it to move towards us every frame. And if it gets within a meter of us, it explodes. Maybe I can make it like a barrel. That might make a little more sense, right? So let's make it a barrel on legs. Right? Isn't that how it works? If you see a red barrel, they explode. That's just the rule. That's video game logic right there, right? If there's ever a red barrel, it's gonna explode. I don't know about the legs though. Let's see. Heavy barrel. A tail. Ultra barrel. Okay. And I'll rotate it. Whatever. It looks fine that way. All right, so we're gonna have this floating barrel thing here, and edit blueprint, and we can add we could add like a particle system to it if we wanted. Do I have any in here? No. Make a new Niagara system under Bill called barrel effect. New system from selected emitters, and I'll have it be an upwards mesh burst, add, finish. There we go. So here, and then you will be a barrel of some sort. Alright, so when we play the game, you can see, does it repeat? I don't think it's set to repeat. Oh, whatever. The point is that you can attach a particle effect to an object as well to make it a little more interesting. So kind of what I'm thinking about in my head right now is we'll delete this one. Like having it have kind of like smoke coming out, you know, so you know that it's like activated and it's gonna explode on you and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So let's barrel effect. Let's open that up. Upwards. These are arrows, huh? Now let's actually just delete that. Replace references with none. I don't think anybody. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. Okay, there we go. So, so the barrel here shouldn't be accessing anymore. All right, so let's make a new Niagara effect real fast. I just want to. I don't want to go too far into this, but I'm gonna make a Niagara emitter called fountain. Yeah, I'm gonna call it. Barrel smoke emitter, and You know what? That actually looks pretty good. Let's see. Spawn rate 900. And the particles, sphere location, velocity in a cone. Widen the cone out a little bit, maybe. Yeah. Alright, that looks pretty good. Gravity, drag. Yeah, looks fine. I'm not doing Niagara today, so. So we've created a Niagara emitter, and then we're going to right-click and create a system from the emitter. And this will be called barrel smoke emitter. Barrel smoke emitter system. So, system. Okay. Now that we've got that particle effect, we can come into the blueprint here for our barrel, and we're going to add a Niagara. I'm going to attach it to the barrel. Add a Niagara particle system, barrel smoke system. There we go. Compile, save, and yeah. What do you guys think? A little too much? What do you think? It gets your attention, you know, that's for sure. What do you think? Maybe a bit much? Yeah. Okay. Velocity. Something like that, maybe? That's more vertical now. Or did you like the wider cone better? The wide cone is better? Okay. Or is it add velocity in cone? Maybe. Oh, it's about right, I think. I don't know. What do you think? I feel like it's kind of missing something. Like maybe it should be smoke or What do you guys think? It's kind of what I was. You know, I'm not going to mess with it too much more. Let me just tighten it up a little bit and just call it a day. I'm going to close that. I'm done. I'm not going for Niagara today anyway. There we go. So we got a barrel. And so we want this barrel to be chasing us, right? And like I said, there's different ways you can move things in Unreal Engine. There's at least 5 or 6 major systems for movement in Unreal Engine. And let's say we want this barrel to just kind of like slide towards us. Okay? Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like we want this barrel to sort of like just slide towards us on the ground and kind of chase us around the platform we're on. Okay? Like a roaming enemy. Yeah, we don't want it to fly. A flying explosive barrel would be a little bit much, I think. But just have it slide after us. We could use the AI system, but I want to make a point here. So we're just gonna. It'll just go through walls. It doesn't matter. It's a Terminator barrel. It won't stop. So I probably shouldn't call it delete me either. We'll call this one Terminator barrel. and it will slide at us. It'll go through walls, and we're gonna do the power of math. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is figure out what direction the player is from us, and we use math powers to do that. Do you guys remember how to do that? Do you remember how to get the player's position and how to get our position? Do you remember what it's called? Get location for us. Okay, and I don't need you. So we're going to get our location. Dot product will tell us if the player's in front of us, right? But right now, all we want to know is the direction towards the player, because that's the direction we're going to move. Get player location. We can get player pawn, like that, and that gets the thing that moves around. And then we can get their location from that. So here's our location, here's their location, and if we subtract them, if we subtract the player's location minus our location, maybe I should have done these the other way. Then this vector here is the direction and magnitude towards the player. There's two things we can do with this. First is the how far away the player is, and the other is what direction the player's in. And so over here, we're going to do vector length. What do you guys think the vector length is going to give us? What, in English, what is this? How do you describe that in English? While I clean this up. The distance to player, yeah. So this is the distance that the player is away from the Terminator barrel. So that we'll just right click and promote to a variable, and we will call that we'll call the variable distance to player. And then the other thing we're going to do is get the direction to the player. So there's this thing here is actually going to give us a vector, but from the vector we can get both direction and distance. What is it? Vector in Despicable Me says, I commit evil with both direction and magnitude. Right? The magnitude is how far away the player is. The direction is the direction of the player. And so if we do this and normalize, normalize gives you a unit vector in the direction pointing towards the player. So it's a director, it's the direction of the player with a length of 1 centimeter. And we do this so that we just get pure direction, and then we can multiply that by how far we want to move. And so this one we will also promote to a variable, and you will be called, what? What should we call this guy? Does this channel have nitro? Yes, it does. Do you want me to increase the streaming quality? There. It's now at 4K 60 hertz. Chase variable. Chase direction. How about that? So it's the direction that we're going to be moving in. Okay. And so from doing the subtraction, we're actually pulling two things out of it. We're getting the distance to the player and the direction of the player. Okay. Now, we want to move the barrel towards the player. And actually, that'll be fine. So we want to move the barrel every frame towards the player. We're not using the AI move controller like we did last time with the sock goblins. We are instead programming it directly. Every frame we're going to move this thing. And this is kind of an annoying way of doing it. It's a very basic way of doing it. But it's going to make a point about delta time. So I'm going to do it. So we want to move the barrel towards the player in this direction every frame. Okay. So we are going to set our location We could add world offset, that would work also. But let's just do set actor location. So we're going to set the actor location equal to get actor location. So we're going to get our location, we're going to set our location. If we did this, it would do absolutely nothing, right? So if we set our location to be our current location, it would do nothing. But what we want to do is add to this vector here. So we're going to add to our current location, we're going to add the direction. Like that. And this will move us, every frame, it'll move us 1 centimeter towards the player, which is rather slow. But if you get a really high frame rate, I guess it'll be a little bit faster. Okay, so here we go. Check it out. Every frame, you see that? It's coming 1 centimeter per frame towards us. Okay. So what's the problem with it moving 1 centimeter per frame? Do you guys think of it? You can measure your frame rate now. It's true. I think there's under here. Chef guess. There it is. So I'm getting 95 frames a second. So this thing is moving 95 centimeters per second. What's the problem with this? What if your frames are 1 FPS? Well, then the thing moves 1 centimeter per second instead of 90. So this is a real problem, and it's a problem that happens when you've got systems that have different computational speeds. And for example, back in the 386, 486 days, when people wrote code like this, and they just kind of hard-coded it to the speed of the CPU, and then what happened was when the CPU sped up, all the monsters on the screen started running twice as fast. And so when they upgraded from the 286 to the 386, what happened was they added a turbo button, which made your computer run faster. Except that was just marketing BS, because what was actually happening was when you unclicked the turbo button, it made the computer run at the old speed. And so you could slow down your games so that if you're playing Space Invaders, instead of the aliens going like super fast back and forth across the screen, they would move at the old speed. And then they did the same thing as they upgraded from the 386 to the 486. It was actually a hardware solution to a software bug. And it's like New Vegas, where high frame rates is death. Yeah, it's any game that does like damage per frame is bad, and that's kind of what I was getting at here. Actually, there's something I want to do with the confetti ball. Yeah, I think I actually don't want to do radial impulse. Location. I want to try fixing this. Because right now, I think I'm doing double radius work. Okay, so so add impulse at location. So the hit location is going to get an impulse. I can work on this later. Okay. Because I'm doing a sphere search, and then I'm doing a radial explosion from that. That's why I think the explosions are so weird coming out of it. Okay, so what you want to do is come over here and use this thing right here, delta seconds. This is a crucial thing you have to understand if you're going to be doing game development. You gun set a higher rate of fire? Yeah. Yeah, it's called damage per second instead of damage per frame, exactly. And so you fix this by using delta seconds. So what we can have is a speed variable, not velocity, speed. That's how many meters per second it'll move. We'll just call this speed, and we'll make you speed, make you a float, and you have to compile it to get the default value up here, and we'll move by default 2 meters per second. Okay, so what you want to do is that's fine. That's fine. What you want to do is multiply any movement you do by delta seconds. So if you're going to be moving 2 meters per second, you multiply by delta seconds. Why? Because if you're getting 10 frames a second, delta seconds is 1/10. Delta seconds is how long it's been since the last frame. And so if you're moving, let's say 100 per frame, if you multiply that by delta seconds, let's say it's 1/10, you move 10 instead. And so you move 10 and 10 and 10 and 10 and 10 and 10 and 10, and it adds up to 100. If you're getting 90 frames a second, then you move 100 divided by 90, and you move 1.1 and change per frame, right? And you move 1.1 per frame, 90 frames per second, and it adds up to about 100. And so by multiplying any velocity stuff you do with delta seconds, it'll normalize based on the frame rate. And there's still some weird aliasing effects you can get, when they won't add up exactly right, but that in a game that usually doesn't matter. So yeah, all these kinds of things, you either have to put a delay on it, or what we did last time, where you remember the last time you clicked, like for the firing, the bullets should not be per frame. They should have written down the last time a bullet came out and waited until a certain time had elapsed and then allowed another bullet to come out. And if you just do it per frame, like right now our clicky code does, right? Like the faster I click, the faster balls come out, right? There's no rate limit on the confetti balls. It's completely OP. So what do we do? So we're going to set our actor location equal to our current location plus the direction we're moving times a float, and that float is going to be our speed. And that is also going to be times by delta seconds. Okay. And so the result of that is going to be added here. There we go. Just trying to line everything up. Dang it. Thank you. Okay, does this make sense to you? So the direction of the player is a vector of length 1 centimeter, and it's pointed towards the player. And so we're going to multiply that by the speed. And so right now the speed I think is 2. And then that's going to be multiplied by the delta seconds. And so that's going to shrink. It's going to actually move a lot slower than it was before. Sorry, this is actually going to be 2 centimeters per second. So let's boost this up to 200 or so. Now it should move about twice as fast as it was before, because before it was at 1. There you go. See that? So now the movement speed of the barrel is not dependent upon my frame rate. If my frame rate dipped to 1, what would happen is the delta seconds would go up. So it moves further per frame. So there's an inverse relation between frame rate and delta seconds. Delta seconds is time since the last frame. So if you're getting 100 frames a second, delta seconds is 1/100th. So the lower your frame rate, the higher delta seconds is, and the further it'll move per frame. And so what this does is this normalizes how far things move. And so if the frame rate speeds up or slows down, it doesn't affect the game. This is a really, really crucial thing to learn. This is actually one of the first things I learned when I started doing game development, was just how essential anything that happens per frame has to be normalized based on delta seconds. Okay. And you just basically multiply your quantities times delta seconds, and then it's good. Not every PC is the same, exactly. Yeah, especially nowadays when you got 3090s, and our lab computers at school are still using 960s, which were okay 7 years ago. Now they're kind of... they're okay. You know, I'm hoping to upgrade the lab computers at some point. Okay. Set actual location. All right. A 980 Ti is significantly better than a 960, though. So, Frankenstein, random parts over 2 years of buying. Yeah, my last, like, technically this PC that I have here is the same PC that I made in 1996. Yeah, I've never actually made a new PC since then. I've replaced the case 4 times. I've replaced the CPU a dozen times. Mobo and RAM also going with that. Hard drives every year or so I put a new hard drive in. Yeah, so it's like Lincoln's hatchet. You know, they have a museum where they have a Lincoln's hatchet. Or maybe they don't. Maybe it's just a story. It doesn't matter. That it's Lincoln's hatchet with 50 new heads and 100 new handles on it. You know, so yeah, Spraggins had a M2 explode on him, and yeah, it's the kind of thing. It's still the same copy of Windows too. I think that it's just been upgraded from 95 to, you know, XP, or 95 to 2000 to XP to Windows 7 to Windows. I think I skipped 8, but I had to upgrade into 8 briefly, then upgraded into 10. So it's even like the programs on here. I've had some programs on here installed since the 90s. You know. Ultima. Yeah. With Magic the Gathering Online, I was a beta tester for that. I still have it installed on here. Okay, so you know how you reformat every year? It's because there's some programs that are not available anymore that I actually use, and so like, yeah, that was Microsoft's response to me. They're like, just reformat your computer. I'm like, I can't. There's software I use that no longer exists on the internet. I don't have the installer for them. I don't have the data packs that I need for them to work. I literally cannot reformat my computer. So, can I upgrade to Windows 11? Nope, because I have a Core i9 7900X. So you can compile the installers. The to like, okay. Yeah, but like the software doesn't exist anymore. That's what I'm saying. So, yeah, YouTube DL. Yeah. I've used Acronis, so I've migrated my system, but I've never actually reformatted Windows ever, and it works fine. Like, there's no issues with it. I can't upgrade to Windows 11 yet, but at the same time, I have no desire to. So, yeah, who cares? Start keeping all installers in a public cloud. Yeah. No, the stuff I have is more obscure, like L5RCM, which is a character manager for a role-playing game I play. And the Yahoo groups or whatever that it was on is gone now. You know, so Windows 11 is better. It just is. Nah, that interface, man. I don't know. Let me show you what my start menu looks like. Look, this is my start menu. I don't use any of that Windows 10 live tile BS. I'm sorry. Like I have my workflow that I have optimized over 20 years of this computer existing. This folder here has existed since 1996 on this computer, and so I can tap Windows key IT, and it pulls up my to-do list. Windows key IC, and it pulls up my list of things to teach. These are my role-playing directory for my role-playing authoring and playing games. All my documents, my scan folder, like everything is like optimized to a minimal number of keystrokes to launch everything. And the Windows 11 start menu and the Windows 10 start menu are just absolute garbage, in my opinion. I don't need to see the weather. the latest Windows update put the weather down there. I'm like, I don't need it. It's fine. How'd you get that start menu? Classic start menu. It's classic start menu. Ah, so you aligned left. Yeah. Everyone has their own setup. Yeah. So I've got my machine the way I like it. So, the Windows 11, I'll probably upgrade into it because I can't right now, right? Because they don't support the 7th generation Core i9s, which is really annoying because it's a perfectly good CPU. Yeah, Cortana is disabled on here too. But you didn't think that was possible. They don't make it easy. But Cronus is running. I could probably kill that. Carbonite automatic backups running. Let's see here. Task manager, service host. Let's see, startup. Yeah. Got my macros. Cortana disabled. Yeah. So that's, and it's disabled. Like, even if you Control Delete, go into Task Manager, kill Cortana, it relaunches. You can disable it though if you're fast enough. Auto HDR, yeah, I would like to try that out, but I'm gonna need to upgrade to Alder Lake first. So yeah, well, you can hack my computer if you can break into my house, which is why I have a security system on my house. You know, Windows Health PC Health Checkup. Yeah, I ran that actually right before class, and it says your computer is managed by your what's it, health checkup. PC health check. Yeah. Yeah. Can I upgrade to Windows 11? Your organization manages updates. So. Yeah. Yeah. Disable the SCCC domain. Yeah. But we can talk more about this later. We're doing gaming right now, I guess, theoretically. Yeah, it's really annoying that, like, if you use your work account on your home machine, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're managed by Scud, which is no, it's fine. I like talking tech stuff. Okay, so there's a couple things we need to fix with this barrel thing now, and anyone have any ideas for what we need to fix on it? I do kind of like the look. Yeah, it's kind of cool looking, in my opinion. Kind of eats us. I can't move now. Its movement speed. Do you want it faster or slower? Because I just picked like kind of an arbitrary speed of like 2 meters per second. Anyone see any other problems with it? Faster? Okay. All right. We can adjust this. That's why I make these things variables. I make them variables so that we can just edit it, easy. So here we got speed, and I can just make it 5 meters per second instead. And now it's coming for us. When it hits us, just rises up out of the ground. TeamViewer Pro is available. Yeah, it's flying. So the first thing I would do after changing the speed is make it not fly. And I'd probably want to geofence it so that it stays on the little gold platform somehow. Maybe we can do that next. But let's stop the flying first. So the location right now is being set to an X, Y, and Z value. What I want to do is have it not increase the Z value at all. I want to get my current Z value, which is whatever. I'm not setting the Z value to 0, by the way, because that could be up in the sky, it could be down below. It just depends where your 0 is in the world. I watched some of your gun code, and there were lines coming up out of the sky. That's usually a sign that you have one of the endpoints not set right. And if you're using like the world origin 0, 0, 0, then a line is going to come from the sky and hit the target, and that's not what you want. Okay, so we don't want to set z to be 0 here. What we want to do is right here. We want to pin links and split it like this. You can't, by the way, you can't split something when it is attached. So what I want to do is copy over the x value and the y value, and I want to leave the z value to z. The z value to 0. So you guys see what I'm doing here? So every frame, it's going to slide in the x and the y direction towards the player, but it's not going to add any elevation gain. And as long as we don't need to navigate hillsides and things like that, this will work pretty well. If we do need to navigate stairs and hillsides, then we need to add more logic to it. But now, when we do this, this thing is just going to slide on the ground towards us. Ta-da. Ah. See, it's just waiting beneath the wall. It's like Trimmers. I don't know if you guys know Trimmers. It's an old horror comedy show about these monsters that live beneath the ground. And what I had before, I've actually, you can actually surf these things if you do it right, where you can ride on top of them. And when it was coming up, you could actually like fly it around the world and stuff like that. It's just kind of fun. So, okay. Trimmers 1, 2, and 3. Anything after that's terrible. I would argue they were all terrible, but like terrible in kind of a amusing, way. Yeah. Yeah. Problematic. What's problematic? Got to go from the current location. Makes me think of amnesia when you're right on top of the monster. Yeah. And so when the thing was moving up in the z direction, you could jump on it, and then the thing would keep flying up because you're above it. And then if you walk forward, it'll fly forward, and you walk backwards, it'll fly backwards. So in the last semester, I was actually like flying it around, singing, "I can show you the world." Earlier problem was problematic, as in literally problem. Gotcha. Yeah, I'll take you on a magic carpet ride. Exactly. So, yeah, the big thing for today is this delta seconds thing. We need to explode, right? So that's a thing too. So let's make some space in here. And if the distance to player, do a branch. If the distance to the player is less than a meter, would you say? Less than a meter? Then we will explode. If we're not, so this is explode. Explode! You guys understand? So like if the distance to the player is ever less than a meter, we're going to explode. There's nothing in here called explode, unfortunately. But if it's not, then we're going to move towards the player. What should we do? I guess we can just do this stupid projectile. Or do you guys want to make a particle effect for it? I kind of want to make a particle effect, even though it's not going to teach you anything new. Yeah, all right, good. Right answer. So let's make a particle effect. Niagara emitter, new emitter. We're going to do a omnidirectional burst. And this one will get called barrel explode emitter. Okay, so it's like a little fireworks pop. That's not cool. We want something better than that, right? So let's see. One time it's going to explode once. That's correct. Spawn count. Let's up that count. Make it dramatic. Let's make it 10,000. Why not? Boom! Look at that. All right. Yep. All right. Lifetime between 1 and 2.5 seconds. That seems reasonable. Color, let's make it kind of reddish. What's a good explosion color? Kind of. What do you think? You like this one? Okay. What do you think? You like that one? Get this out of the way. This looks pretty dramatic to me. I don't know. So with having a low minimum and a high maximum, you can see some of the particles kind of like hang out behind, and then some of them just like they just like shatter, like bam. But I kind of dig that. Okay, particle state, gravity force. Do we want gravity on it? Let's try gravity off. See what that looks like. That's kind of cool too. I probably want to eliminate drag if we're going to do that. Turn off drag. You can have it rise upwards when it explodes. Let's turn off gravity. Okay. It's a video game, it doesn't need to be realistic. Scale sprite size. You can have it scale based on velocity and things like that, which is kind of cool. I think overall that's pretty good. Maybe we can do something weird. Physics. Where is it? That's a force. I'm not seeing it really too much. Curl will add like rotations and vortices and things like that. I'm not seeing it do very much here though. So I'll just delete that. It's fine. This looks fine to me. Okay. So save you and turn you into a system. Make Niagara system and barrel explode system. Okay, so coming back into here, when it explodes, then we will spawn emitter. Is it emitter? What is it? What is it? Niagara. Spawn. Is it? Let's see. Niagara. Yeah. Spawn system. Yeah. Not spawn emitter. Spawn system. Allocation. All right. And no, we don't want to do you anymore. Okay. So this is our explodey code. This is our old stuff. We don't need you anymore. Go away. Might use you. Yeah, whatever. Delete you for now. All right. So when it explodes, we're going to spawn a system at location. We're going to do barrel explode. The location is going to be our location. Let's pull that in there. Looks a little ugly. Rotation scale doesn't matter. Rotation matters on a system if you have like a cone. Like for the flamethrower, you want to make sure it's rotated to face the way we're facing so the fire comes out forward. Auto destroy, auto activate, prequel check. Okay. So we're going to spawn a system and then we're just going to destroy itself, and there we go. And we should probably do damage also, right? So radial damage, apply radial damage. Okay. Base damage, we'll do 50 damage in a 2-meter radius. The origin is going to be our location, and that's fine. Okay. So we can possibly kill the player with this. Ooh. What did I forget to do? The first thing I always do whenever I'm writing new code. What did I not do? I did not print string. Yes, exactly. So for things like this radius here, it can be deceptive sometimes because it's kind of measuring from the inside of the barrel to the inside of the person, you know? And so a good rule of thumb is just to always print out these things. And I'm just going to print the distance to the player every frame. And then I'm going to just use that to eyeball. So we're... Oh, it's not moving, right, because I didn't hook up the back side of it. There we go. Okay. Although, actually, that would have been fine, too. Okay. So, right about here is when I figure it should blow up. So that's around 175, it looks like. Okay. And so, and then I delete it. You guys with me on this? It's a... There's, I don't know. There's probably professional programmers that are like, so ghetto. But I don't know. It's like, it's a great way of eyeballing, you know, numbers. You know, either that or you just keep compiling it and retrying it. See out all the things. Yeah, works pretty well. Okay, and then boom. Yeah, that felt pretty good to me. Maybe a little bit closer. Maybe just a hair closer, like 165, maybe. That felt pretty good to me. And so, so when it explodes, it detonates. Pretty nice effect, right? Pretty nice Niagara effect. Our radial impulse I need to fix again, but whatever. Yeah, okay. So we've got a Terminator bot. And the Terminator barrel slides on the ground. It explodes when it gets near us. It does damage to us. Okay. And the big learning point was, of course, the delta seconds thing here. So anytime you run something per frame, like movement per frame, you got to normalize using delta seconds. You guys cool? You guys down with that? Okay. So next thing I want to do is do a health bar. So we need to get a main menu going and stuff like that. But before we do that, I just want to have a little health bar going on the character. So let's see, where's our begin play? Let's find. Oh, there it is. It's right there. Okay, cool. So on our begin play, you can attach things to your screen. There's actually 2 separate systems for doing HUDs in Unreal Engine, and most semesters I've been teaching the old way of doing it. I think I'm going to start off by teaching you the better way, and just ignore the old way from now on. I don't know. It's a little bit more complicated. The old way, there's 3 things you can do. On the HUD, you guys know what a HUD is? It comes from airplanes, heads-up display, or housing and urban development, one or the other. Let's see what kind of images we get for that. Yeah. So the heads-up display on an airplane is this thing here. Basically, it displays graphics on the windshield. Well, there's a kind of a visor thing in front of you. So you can look through it, and so you can be dogfighting without having to look down at your instruments. It'll have your speed and your, you know, target. Like, here's a spaceship. You know, you got your heat and ammo and things like that. It's all right there on the screen in front of you. You don't have to look down and consult your inventory and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. I like that. So we're gonna do a HUD is the UE that faces the player. Yeah. So in addition to sea shanties, wait, right here. we can do HUDs. And so the old way is you could either draw a rectangle, you could draw text, or you could draw a picture. And you could kind of build your HUDs out of that. I think I'm going to start teaching you guys the newer way. So you're the first class that gets to learn UMG, because I've been playing with both, and the old way is a little bit easier to learn, I think, but it's so much more limited that when you try doing complicated stuff, it sort of sucks. Okay. So what we're going to do is in your directory, we're going to right click and choose User Interface Widget Blueprint. So widgets are things that appear on your screen, like a health bar or a mana bar or decorations or like options buttons. Anything that is kind of 2D on top of your screen is a widget blueprint kind of thing, or part of the widget blueprint. Okay. Health map ammo, yeah. So I'm going to click on widget blueprint here, and I'm going to call this I guess I think I'm going to just add a lot of stuff to this. I'm just going to call this main HUD, I guess, something like that. Okay. And then inside of my first player, or my third player character blueprint, I'm going to add widget component here. It's sprinting. Yeah. So we're going to call this set up HUD. So weird these things don't line up right. Yeah, whatever. Just, Why do you do this to me, Unreal Engine? Okay. I'll just pull this up a tick, maybe. No, damn it. Things just don't line up. Okay. It's so strange. Okay. Okay, so we're going to attach to ourself the widget component, and who are we going to attach? Actor, target. That's all right. Viewport. Create widget. Add widget component. Creates new components. Let's try this. Class. Main HUD. Running player. Player that owns the widget. And that will do add to viewport. These things never line up. It's so weird. Look at that. Running player. Let's see if that works. Let's try that. And then we need to put something on the HUD widget over here. And so I'm going to start off by just like putting like a, I don't know, some text on top of it here. I'll explain what I'm going to do in a second. I just want to see if this works. And the text is going to be hello world. No, not rich text. Sorry. Let's just do regular text. save and run, and there's hello world. Okay, cool. Okay, you guys see that? So what I did, step one, I made a new, step one, I went to FX, made a new, not FX, user interface, made a new widget blueprint, and then in the main character, you have to attach it. You have to attach it to your viewport. The viewport is the camera, essentially. And so this thing's going to be floating on top of the camera. And so I created a widget and picked main HUD, which is the name that I created, and set it to me, and then attach it to the viewport. Then after that, you're done. It's really pretty simple. And you can attach multiple widgets, and you can detach widgets. So you can switch, like you can make it so when somebody hits escape, it turns off the main interface and turns on the pause screen interface, and you can uncapture the mouse and that kind of stuff. So, yeah, we'll be talking about the mod project probably starting next week. There's a little bit more that we need to go over before we've got a real game. Okay, so here inside of the main HUD, let me delete you. I just want to make sure the thing was working properly. Because the hardest things in an Unreal Engine is like just keeping all the names of everything straight. Like if you haven't done it in a while, it's like, what's the name of the function again? Oh yeah. So what are the kinds of things we can add to the screen? Well, we can add buttons, checkboxes, images, text, progress bars. Oh, progress bar. That sounds pretty good. So why don't we add a health bar? Where do you guys want the health bar? What corner of the screen, or in the middle, or if you wanted to make a health bar, where would you put it? Top left. Okay. So we'll drag out a progress bar up here, and I'll just move it up a little bit like that, so it'll be visible. This is by default a 720 resolution. Yeah, whatever. I'm not going to worry about that now. 4K Ultra HD. There you go. Okay. So that's going to be a health bar, and then I'm going to put a text next to it, like this, and or maybe above it. And you can lay out these things better. You can create like a sub panel and attach things, have them laid out vertically. I'm just kind of doing this the cheap and easy way. So I'm just going to say health right here. And do you see this giant flower looking thing here? That's the anchor. So this says the health word health is going to be relative to the top left corner of the screen. The health bar down here is also relative to the top left corner of the screen. Now, if I want to do sprinting, like maybe I can do the same thing, and over here, actually, let's just that control. Can I not copy and paste multiple things? Weird. Only copied and pasted one thing. Okay. Yeah. So let's just put that over here. I just want it to be the same size. And if I can line it up later, copy paste, put that over here. And so this one will be stamina, and then this one will be the stamina bar, and I can give them a name. So the name of you is like health text, and the name of you is stamina text. View is health bar, and the name of view is stamina bar. And the thing is, I don't want these actually aligned based on the top left corner. I want them aligned based on the top right corner. So right here under anchors, you can go up here and have it be relative to the top right corner. Click on you, have it be relative to the top right corner. So it's going to be a certain number of pixels left and down from the top right corner instead of from the top left corner. And I made an extra duplicate, it looks like. So you, I'm going to position you 50 and 20 down, and the size will be The size actually doesn't matter too much. 40 tall, and you're 40 tall, and I'm going to line it up vertically. Again, there's better ways. You can create panels and have things vertically aligned within a panel and stuff like that. I'm not going to worry about it. 50 size is 40. Okay, for you, you're going to be left 50, and I'm going to make the alignment. Where's the justification? Right align. No, no. Well, I'm not going to worry about it. Negative 200. And the position Y is 20. The position of U is also 20. The position of U is 76. 68. So I'm just sort of doing the alignment manually here. It's kind of lame, but whatever. Size is 40. And yeah, okay. So here we go. So if I'm just going to save this and just make sure everything is appearing properly when I run it. And you can see I've got a gray health bar and a gray stamina bar. They don't do anything when I'm taking damage, but that's the next step. So you guys understand? So you make a widget, you attach it to your screen, and then you use the UE designer here, which is right there. And then you're going to go back and forth between a blueprint for this and the UE designer. The UE designer, you just drag and drop off stuff. If you release the mouse, then you can make it so you can click on buttons and things like that. We're not going to do that for today. We're just going to make like a health and a stamina bar. Armor bar, yeah, you can do that too, or a shield like in Overwatch or something like that. But this will be fine for now. Let's see. So, yeah, okay. Percent full, let's try 100. Okay. And percent full, let's try 100, 50, 20. Okay. So right now it goes from 0 to 1, sorry. Not to 100. So I'm gonna make this. Oh, it should fill the other way. Do you see that? Like, it. You know what I mean? Like, if it's in the top right corner, it's kind of weird for it to drain that way. Yeah. Maybe have it work like that. What color do you think stamina should be? Pretty in-depth editor, yeah. Unreal is unbelievably complicated, and that's why we have 2 semesters of game development. And that's still not enough. I'm actually thinking about adding a 3rd semester, just because there's so much stuff in here. So I kind of have to tailor what I talk about every semester to like what students want. Okay, yellow-orange. Okay. Is that acceptable? What about health? Green? Okay. Maybe have it turn red when it goes low or something. That could be fun. Yeah. Maybe we'll... How much time do we have? 14 minutes? Yeah. Start it off at green, at least. Okay. Now, here comes the magic. If we run this, if we compile this and run it, you'll see that the health and stamina bar are fixed. Even when I sprint, the stamina bar doesn't drain. Even when I take damage from these sock goblins and the thing exploding on me, my health bar isn't going down. That's because I haven't told it what is health, right? What does it mean to be, like, you know, you have to connect it to your actual code. And this is where it gets fun. So over here we've got a health value that defaults to 100 on the character. And while we're at it, we might as well add a stamina thing and make this a floaty float and compile and save and have stamina start off at 100 as well. We haven't actually implemented a stamina system, but you know, you'll see how it works. If you can do it for health, the stamina system will work the same. You just need to make it so that when you hit sprint, you start draining health And you can do that on event tick. Just make sure to use delta seconds as well, or you can set up a loop on here that will run constantly until you reset it. One or the other. But we're not going to do that right now. We got 12 minutes left. Okay, so here we are in the HUD. Now, this is where the magic happens. You got to attach them. Yeah, you got to bind them to the variables. Okay, you guys ready for this? How do I make the health bar work with the player health? These are two different things and two different chunks of code. We need to connect them. We need to bind them together. Okay, so right here next to %, all these things in the HUD designer, all of these things are bindable. And that means you can make a function that will tell it what it should have every time it updates. So every time the HUD updates, it's going to look at anything that's bound, and you can do things like bind the color, right? Like we were saying, you can start with green and have it turn yellow, then red. We're going to bind the health. So we're going to click on bind here and click create binding. And right here, get health bar %. This is the thing. It's going to be activating every frame, essentially. Every time the HUD updates, at least. It's going to run. And we're going to return a value from 0 to 1. And that value from 0 to 1 is how % full the health bar should be. And so the way we connect it to the player is it's a blueprint, so we can say get player. And in multiplayer, this would be a little different, but whatever. So we're going to get the player, and we are going to get their health. Might need to cast this. It's a pawn. Okay. So cast to main character. That's what I called it. It's not third-person character anymore. So cast it to the main character. That makes all those variables I made available. Then out of here, we will get health. And health, probably should have a max health too. So I'm going to make a variable here called max health, so that if my max health goes up, the bar will do the percentages properly. Right? So health and max health, save, compile. Max health will be 100 as well. And we'll move stamina up a little bit, and we'll also make max stamina while we're at it. Even though probably don't have time to do stamina today. It's pretty much the same thing. Compile, save. Max stamina is also going to be 100. Okay, so over here, we're going to grab the person's current health, and we're going to get their max health as well. And we're going to do a little bit of division, right? So we are going to divide health. Like, let's say their health is 50. And their max health is 100, then that'll return 0.5. Makes sense? If their current health is 100 and our max health is 100, then it returns 1. If the max health is 0, 0. Okay. And we could probably clamp this. We should probably clamp it. Clamp the value. Just so that we don't get a health bar that goes negative or off the end. So clamp by default will clamp a value between 0 and 1. So that's what we want. So if it ever drops below 0 somehow, like something's injuring us and we're not stopping our health going below 0, we're going to clamp it to 0. And if it goes above max health, like you get a power up or something, the health bar doesn't break out of the UE and extend over this way. So clamping is a good practice to get into, and these things aren't lined up, are they? Like one square off. There. Okay. And now, when we play the game, I'm at full health, and as these guys are stabbing me, you see my health is going down. I didn't have to do anything else. That's it. Ah. Kind of cool, huh? That's it. You just make that, when you bind that function runs every frame, and it gets the current health of the player, gets the max health of the player, divides the two, and returns the number from 0 to 1. And everything else is just magic. When I was teaching the old way, yeah, it's really easy to draw a rectangle on the screen. You give it an X and a Y location of the corners, but then all this stuff you have to do by hand. Like you have to draw the background bar and the foreground bar, and ultimately it works out being a lot more work. So I think I'm just going to teach the UMG way from now on. Okay, so then let's go back into the designer mode here, and we wanted the color to change, right? So we wanted the color. Let's see, maybe a darker green. Yeah, let's start off with a darker green. Okay. So, okay, so we're going to bind the color. And so we want the color to go from green to yellow to red. Okay. So these are things called linear colors. A linear color is just RGBA. A is transparency. By the way, one of the most annoying things about Unreal Engine is that when you make a color, by default, the alpha will be 0, which means it doesn't appear on the screen. Let me tell you how many hours of my life I've been like, why isn't it drawing? You know, I'm printing out all the things, all the numbers are being set, and like nothing's appearing on the screen. I'm like, oh, what's going on here? And I'm like, oh. Yeah. So if you set the alpha to be 0, then it doesn't draw at all, and there's no clue that it's not drawing. And that's the default alpha for a lot of things you make. Here it's not. Here the color is defaults to 1, but a lot of the times when you make a color, it's 0, 0, 0, 0, and then and the picker will draw it anyway, right? See, right? So that part there is a clue that it's not drawing because it shows the background, which is the checkerboard. But it's like you're looking at that, like, oh, it's green. You know, nope, you're drawing nothing because alpha is 0. So why would anyone want an alpha to be 0 by default ever? I don't know. Whenever I do anything with RGBA, A is always 1 by default. And sure, RGB of 0 black is fine, but you don't want transparent black, which is it's just an issue I have. You know, I get it. It's like you want to initialize things to 0 or something. I mean, I kind of get it, but and you feel like the biggest moron when it's like, oh yeah, it's just transparent. You know, because I thought the binding wasn't working. You know, like I thought I had this all right. You know, and no, it was just transparent. Okay, so. We got variables here. Let's make a new variable, and this variable will be called green color. And green color will be of type linear color. There, which is like a darker blue than an actor. And we will also add in a variable for yellow color. And we will also add in a variable for red color. And I don't know if they have to be public. I don't think they do, but whatever. So I'm just going to set these values. You know, maybe I do have to set them. Okay, well, let's just come back over here then. Green color and the value. Compile first. Default value of it is see that right there? That's what I'm talking about. It defaults to transparent black. And if you just drag this thing around, you get green, you know, and you can, you know, make it fully it starts off black, you make it fully saturated, you're like, cool, I'm done. No, it's still transparent. It's it's so frustrating. Okay, so we'll just start off with this as like a darker kind of. That looks like a health bar green. Okay, so yeah, that's you. And then for the yellow color, we'll make it, I don't know, that kind of, and alpha of 1, and and we have to pull the saturation up all the way. It defaults to no saturation also, which is another gotcha. There, that's a nice yellow color. And then for red, alpha of uno, saturation, saturated, full red. Ooh, that's a little bit too bright for me, maybe. Darken it a little bit. There we go. Okay, so now we've got our red, our green, and our blue. Wait, no, our yellow, red, and green. Green, yellow, red colors. What we want to do is grab again the same thing we did for the other one. So we need to actually just copy the other one. Let's see here. U. Okay. So I'm actually just going to copy all of this because that's the percentage is going to control the color, right? And I'm going to copy that. Come back into here. Hit paste. And this is going to give us the percent health here. And then what I'm going to do, comment. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to color it based on the percentage of health. So like if it's between like 1 and 0.5, it'll transition from green to yellow. And then when it goes from 0.5 to 0, it's going to transition from yellow to red. So do you guys know how to linear interpolate? Have we talked about that before? Linear interpolation? Kinds of stuff. Lerp. Let's see if they have a color lerp. Yes, color lerp. So we are going to color lerp. 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 I cast magic missile. Green color. Yellow color. Okay. So let's see here. If you are greater than or equal to, there's probably a direct way I could do this, huh? Whatever. I'll just do a branch. So if the percentage health is over greater than or equal to 0.5, then it will return one thing, otherwise it will return another thing. Okay, so if the percentage is 50% or above, it's going to lerp between green and yellow, and the amount of lerping is going to be, let's see, so at 0.5 we want it to be yellow, and at 1 we want it to be green. So I actually want to do it the other way around, I think. So let's see. Multiply this by 2 and subtract 1. Okay. Multiplied by 2. I'm just doing the algebra in my head, so we're out of time. Multiply by 2, subtract 1, and that should be the alpha. So if the health is at 50%, 0.5, multiply that by 2, and we get 1. Subtracted 1 from it, we get 0. So the alpha would be 0, and we get yellow. So at 50%, we get yellow, 100% yellow. And then when our health is at full, at 1, multiply by 2, we get 2. Subtract 1, we get 1. That's going to be an alpha of 1, so it'll pick B, which is green. And then as your health decreases, it'll smoothly transition from green to yellow. And so that's going to be U. Now, if our health is between 0 and 0.5, we're going to do a different lerp. And we are going to lerp linear color between yellow and red. So 0 to 0.5, it seems like if we just multiply that by 2, that'll give us 0 to 1. So I'm going to take U multiplied by a flute, and that's going to give me a number from 0 to 1. And so if we're at 0, that means we're dead, and so that's going to be red. And if we're at 1, 0.5 times 2 is 1. Then that's going to be yellow. So there's a little bit of algebra involved in game development, and like I said, for some reason, it's just multiply. It's algebra. Like there's nothing like too, like it's not like calculus or anything. It's all pretty straightforward stuff. But if we do this, oh, it didn't compile. What's going on here? Cast main character is pruned because its exec pin is not connected. That's a good point. Thank you for telling me about that. Yeah, let's just, spaghetti. Snap you over here, I guess. Compile, save. Okay. So, yeah, let's see how this works. And then we'll switch over to IS50B. So our health is green right now. Nope, we're taking damage. Look, the health is turning yellow. Health's gone. Oh, shoot. Okay. Health just vanished. So this part worked. Let's see what we did wrong here. Return value should be between 0 and 0.5, right? So 0 times 2 should be 0. So it should pick red. Red is set, right? It's not transparent. Yellow is not transparent. Do you see my mistake? It's like all that algebra. I was like, all right, it's got to be a problem with the algebra. No. There we go. Okay. Okay. So there we go. And we're taking damage. Life's going down. Turning red. It kind of turns orange. Like, it doesn't actually turn red. Because the way the colors blend together. But we're out of time. That's the basic idea. And so, long story short, is when you work with UMG, you start off in the designer. You kind of put widgets around the screen, like progress bars and sliders and buttons, and you can make panels to do layouts and things like that. Your vertical box will lay things out vertically for you. Circular throbber. Oh, I gotta put that out there. I want to see the circular throbber. Loading. Dead. Okay. So yeah. So you just toss things onto the screen here, and then when you want to bind them to things in the world, like your ammo count and things like that, typically what you do is you just you come over here anytime you want to bind something, and pretty much all these things can be bound, right? Like the tooltip text. I don't even know why you would bind that, but there's probably a reason. But like if you want to turn it off, like you want it to just like not show anymore, you can do that. And you can bind that to a variable so that like, when you're stunned, the things turn off on the screen. Like that's a good way of disorienting a player, is just hide their UE elements. I don't have a health bar anymore. Like Halo Reach, end of Halo Reach. Mission Survive, right? So all these things can be bound. And typically what you do is when you bind them, you just go to grab the main character, or for you it would be a third-person character. And then you can pull off the variables from the main player. And in general, it's probably a good idea to keep things on the main player, like things like health and stamina. Just have all your variables in one place like that. So if you ever need to do multiplayer, it's pretty easy. Stuff like that. So that's it for today. For your homework, I would like to see you make a HUD. So I'll screenshot this for you, I guess. And there you go. Just put something up on the screen. What do your confetti balls explode only on you? I can shoot them. They explode only when I go near them. Probably. You already made a health bar and ammo bar. All right, you're done then. Cool. Anyone else do the HUD already? I can give a different homework. For my confetti ball, I have it ignore me. Because if you spawn it too close to yourself, you're going to run into it, and it's going to blow up on you. And so what I did on my confetti ball blueprint is when I touch something, I make sure it's not the main character. If it's not the main character, then I go on. Otherwise, I don't do anything. So if it hits the main character, I just ignore the event, and the thing will go on its merry way. And when it does radial damage, I have it ignore the main character as well, so I don't damage myself. Okay, so heads up display. Screenshot one more thing. This. And then that should be good. All right, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Peace out.